Alright guys, so here we are. We're going to compare axles with the 2nd gen Tacoma, Jeep JK, 3rd gen 4runner, and the Land Cruiser. Now we're not going to compare front axles just because obviously you have independent front suspension for the 3rd gen 4runner and the Tacoma, but we're going to look at the rear. We'll see how it's kind of built. Alright, so here's our first look. This is the Toyota 4runner rear axle. Now you can see no rust, California car. With this rear axle, it is the locked rear axle. This is the limited version of the 4runner. You can tell it's pretty skinny for a rear axle, but this rear axle can handle a lot of abuse. I mean, obviously it's made by Toyota, it's made quality, and the nice part about it, it's not run by leaf springs. It's run by that coil right there and then the shock right next to it. Very good for feeling like you're driving a car, and but also using it as a truck. So it handles really well and it drives really well, very comfortable. All right, second look is the 2nd gen Tacoma rear end. You can see California car, nice and clean. Looks pretty thin, just very similar to the 4runner, but you can tell here we got leaf springs. Obviously the leaves, just it's the easiest way to or the cheapest way to get some load capacity, especially for a truck where it's nice. It's a lot wider than a SUV. So leaf spring setup. Only problem with the leaf spring setup is it just doesn't articulate as well as coils. Also not as comfortable, especially when you have nothing in the back of the bed. This one also has the rear locker. Alright, so here's the Jeep. So very similar setup as the 3rd gen 4runner. You got a coil setup right there. Pretty beefy rear axle. This is a stock rear axle too, by the way. I forgot what this setup is. I think it's a 4-link. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or 4-link, 3-link. I don't know. But very articulative suspension setup. Even from the factory, I know a lot of people modify this, get a little bit more articulation, and that's great. But this is just a stock setup. No rear locker on this one. That's a good look of it. Coil and shocks right there, you can see mated to the wheels. All right, the last one and the beefiest is the 80 series Land Cruiser. Similar setup to the Jeep and the 4runner. You got the coil, shock setup right there. Super beefy. I don't know, man. I mean, look at this thing. So you can see there's a lot of dirt and mud and nasty stuff in it, but very overbuilt, built to last. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a big rig axle. I'm actually going to do a video comparing this to the Jeep real quick. So here's the last look. Here's the Jeep.